You're listening to the Spark podcast, and I'm Phil Cleary. The Spark, of course, comes to you from the offices of the Electrical Trades Union. And I have with me in the studio Jim Kontogeorgis and Chris Riley. Jim is a senior shop steward at the Ford Motor Company in Geelong, and Chris is his junior. Jim's been at Ford for 20 years and Chris for about 7. Jim, I spoke to you recently about the situation at Ford, and we know there are 600 job losses. I think it's in 2010.
Yeah, mid-2010, Phil.
And there's a great deal of concern about the situation in Geelong, so fill us in.
600 people are going to lose their jobs in mid-2010. The engine plant, Ford has made a decision to source their engine from the United States in the mid-2010. So 600 employees have to go.
Jim, you had a long time in the Ford company, so you'd understand the workings of it and the whole question of competition. Why is it that the Ford Motor Company can't seem to compete properly in order to employ more people?
I think at the moment, Phil, the big thing is the dollar, and also fuel prices has been a really major factor in people purchasing cars, big cars, 6-cylinder cars.
You've got a strategy at the moment. You're working on a plan, the Save Manufacturing in Geelong, or Save Geelong Manufacturing, in fact.
Yeah, that's right, Phil. Save Geelong Manufacturing Committee. We've developed in Geelong. A few of the delegates in Geelong have got together, and from the AMW vehicles and also metals, the ETU got together. We have a meeting every week to talk about issues that have been arising from some of the job losses in Geelong.
Chris, over to you now. You were at a meeting with Sharon Burrow from the ACTU, spoke at that meeting, and there was a great deal of discussion about a strategy.
Yeah, that was this morning, Phil. Well, she basically came down to Geelong to see all the guys for Your Rights and Work, and girls, sorry. Basically come down to obviously thank everyone for their hard work, but also to talk about in the coming election.
What about this committee? Do you see it as having legs? Can it influence the opinion makers around the traps, politicians and some of the key manufacturers in Geelong, like Frank Costa, the president of the Geelong Football Club, and a powerful Geelong identity?
Because it's only been a recently formed committee, we've just started to really push it hard this last week, and so far we've had 3 different parties come and speak to us.
Who are they? Can you give us an idea?
The Greens have come and spoken to us. The Labor Party's also come and spoken to us, and an independent candidate down there, Gavin O'Connor's
a former ALP member.
Yeah, former ALP member.
Jim, what's the next phase with the committee? Who have you got to wrestle?
The next phase, Phil, is what we're trying to do is we're trying to get Kim Carr down to Geelong and have a bit of a discussion.
From the Labor Party?
Yeah, from the Labor Party. What we want to try and do is he's got a $2 billion green car policy, and what we want to do is try to get some of that money to be invested in Geelong.
There is some money already earmarked for Geelong, isn't there?
Yes, there is a Geelong Innovation and Investment Fund. There's $24 million that's been set aside to entice businesses to come to Geelong and start business there and create some jobs.
That's not enough, is it?
No, we don't think so. Our committee believes that probably 100 million is where that figure needs to be. $45 million was allocated for Mitsubishi in Lonsdale, and that wasn't enough.
Frank Costa's a very influential man in Geelong. Has he shown any inclination to be moved by the plight of Geelong workers in the Ford plant?
I think so, Phil. I mean, I'm too sure on where he sits with the Ford workers.
Is he not the sort of bloke you would really like to meet? You'd like to sit in his office with some of his influential friends and explain the plight of a worker in Geelong?
Oh, that'd be fantastic if something like that could happen. Frank Costa is a very intelligent and influential man in Geelong. So, if we could have a meeting with Frank, that would be fantastic.
Chris, I've spoken to you recently on Channel 31 about this issue, and we talked about the technologies at Geelong. You're a young bloke with an interest in the technology. What do you see as the way forward for the company?
Well, I see Fords themselves having a lot of brains between themselves to be able to produce a green car of of some sort, whether it be hybrid or there's I know there's new technology now where they're talking about a car that just runs on hot air. I think that'd be the way to go in the future.
Is there any talk about this in the Geelong plant, in amongst management?
Not so much with management, but I think the guys off the shop floor, and I know a lot of the young engineers around the place are ready and willing to start on it as soon as they could.
Jim, how nervous is the ordinary punter out in Geelong about his or her job? I mean, it must be a very worrying time for you all.
Oh, it certainly is, Phil. Everyone's worried. What do they do? They've been working for Ford for 20 years, and they've haven't seen what it's like outside. So, a lot of people are nervous. Got mortgages, kids. They're very nervous.
All right, give us your wish list. What are you looking to do in the coming weeks?
The Save Geelong Manufacturing Committee obviously trying to get Kim Carr, even Kevin Rudd down, a discussion about this $2 billion green car policy. What we want to try and do is get some more money with this innovation fund. We want to talk to local politicians. We also want to have a economic study done as well. Maybe the Deakin to look at that economic policy. So
you're talking about Deakin University. That's a smart move, to do a study on what the economic possibilities in Geelong, where there might be some comparative advantage and possible new technologies.
Yeah, definitely, and also look at the impacts it's going to have on the workers, and what their view on life is now, and then continue that right through till after when they have lost their jobs, and because they've used. From the Lonsdale plant, they've actually used the information to get money from the government to entice business.
Chris, you got anything to add to that?
Basically, we want a government that's willing to spend manufacturing dollars. Basically, we want a government that's up for new ideas. I mean, and not cheap.
John Howard included, I suppose.
Yeah, well, no, not really.
But if he happens to get over the line, we probably want to talk to him, don't we? Yeah. We should be telling him we want to talk to him now.
Yeah.
Not one of your favourites, John Howard.
No, he's not. He's not on my Christmas card list. No, but we just want a company that we want a government that doesn't want to make just cheap things like China. We want a government that's willing to spend money on and become a world leader in technology like Japan.
And finally, boys, Jim, start with you. Tell us about the skills in the Geelong plant.
Skills in the Geelong plant, we've got highly skilled people there, a lot of them at level 6, we call it in our structure, so most of the people are up at the top level getting paid top money, so we're very highly skilled in Geelong.
So you reckon you've got the skills there that you could move into some new kind of hybrid or environmentally friendly car, provided, the plant's got to readjust, but you blokes have the skills to do this?
Oh, definitely we've got the skills.
What about you, Chris? You're only a newcomer, 7 years. You got the skills?
Yeah, well, we've got some young, bright people down there in Geelong that have got plenty of ideas, especially when it comes to new rapid designs in the way a car looks and all the way it operates. Everything from electronics in the cars to how it's made, basically.
So they need to look sexy, cars these days, don't they?
They do.
Although those hybrids don't look that sexy, do they?
Oh, we could make them look sexy.
I did have another question for you. Oh, yes, I don't want to forget the Christmas party. What's happened with the Christmas party? We better tell our listeners that Ford has abandoned the Christmas party, Jim. This is not good, is it?
No, and it's an absolute disgrace, Phil, that Ford have taken the decision to ban not to do the Christmas party this year, especially
can't afford Santa and a few socks.
Yeah, that's right. They can't afford it. It doesn't make business sense. So they haven't got the money. But an absolute disgrace, shame, Ford.
I mean, they talk about it as it's an OH&S issue and that no one was interested. But if you go down to the grassroots of the factory, they're definitely interested, and it's all just about cost cutting.
Good to talk with you both. Jim Kontogeorgis, whose dad, of course, was a Greek immigrant, married an Australian lady. Is that right, Jim?
That's correct, Phil, yeah.
And Chris Riley, well, that'd have to be some sort of Irish Catholic descent, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Good to speak to you both.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks.